Welcome back, everybody. So today I wanted to talk about the relationships in your life. Anyone you interact with on a daily basis, how those relationships are a reflection of you and how they might be impacting you. The people that we're surrounded by every day and interact with, your best friends or your partner, family that you might live with, whether we realize it or not, whether we're conscious of it or not, we're tuned in to their frequency, to their vibration, their energy, the energy that they hold. If you're interacting with someone that is in a very high frequency, that's excited, you're gonna feel that. That's gonna have an effect on you, and most likely you'll feel the same way during that interaction. Now, this also works in another way, where if someone is not feeling so well, or you feel like they're being very negative, or they've had a bad day, is constantly maybe complaining, or is more pessimistic than optimistic, that's gonna have an effect on you too. So here are some questions that I want you to ask yourself regarding the relationships in your life. How does this person make you feel when you're around them? What value do they add to your life? Are these people rooting for you, or are they competing with you? Do they uplift you, or do you feel like they try to drag you down? Do you feel like you're giving more than you're receiving from the relationship? Are there little things that they have done or continue to do that make you question the type of person they are or their intentions? Are there things that they do that you're not okay with, but you don't speak up about it? You ignore it or let it slide? How much do you tolerate? Do you feel alone despite having multiple friends and always being surrounded by people? So before I started my own journey of awakening and healing, I had many friends and I was pretty social, but inside I still felt alone. And I didn't understand how the two could coexist. How could I feel lonely or alone when I'm constantly interacting with people and it seems like people want to be around me? And it's like a mutual kind of thing. I have these people in my life who consider me like such a great friend, who, look to me for support, and they're always present. My family is there. I still feel something is missing. I had a very active social life, but I always felt alone inside. And I'm like, how could this be? Something isn't right. Something isn't connecting. And at that time, I definitely had some toxic friendships. There were just certain little things that some of them would do that I would question and say to myself, I would never do that to a friend, and always feeling like I was giving more than I was receiving. But again, I ignored it because tolerating these little things that I observed and picked up on was better than having no friends at all. And especially as an empath and someone that's highly sensitive, I felt like I had to accept anyone and everyone exactly how they are. It's almost as if I didn't feel I had a choice. And because knowing their background and where they came from, what they've been through, I understood why they may be this way, and I felt like I had to accept that. I didn't know I deserved better at the time. I figured that this is what friendship is. It's not always going to be perfect. No one is perfect. And as a Virgo, that's something that I think a lot of us struggle with, this sense of perfection, that everyone you encounter is going to be perfect, that your partner is going to be this ideal perfect mate. Everything that we do, we try to perfect it. So you know how sometimes when you're in a predicament or a situation that doesn't feel right, and that could be a relationship or work, but in your heart that this is not the place for you, that this is not the situation that you should be in, but you don't leave it. You don't find an exit plan. You don't really do anything to get out of the situation. And then the universe sneaks up on you and just smacks you across the face, and something happens. Something in the situation you're in, whether it's at work, there's a blow up, or in your relationship or with a friend. It's like everything was okay for a while, even though internally it wasn't okay for you. And then everything gets flipped upside down and forces you to finally have to take some sort of action or to rethink things. So what really set this in motion was when two of my friends started hanging out together without me. So we all probably went out maybe once or twice as a group, but over time they individually expressed to me that they were interested in each other. So me knowing friend number one for a while and knowing friend number two for a while as well, I knew that wasn't going to be a match. I just knew it. Like, I know people's personalities. I know what ticks people off. I know what people enjoy, what people don't enjoy. I know that certain people carry a certain energy that goes better with particular energy than other, and I just knew that it was going to be a disaster if this actually happened. And I expressed that to them individually, and they were like, oh no, you're overthinking it, you know, it's gonna be fine, you know, there's no harm in getting to know each other. So I was like, okay, here's the number, exchange, have fun. And that's when things kind of shifted. So my friendship with each of these two individuals are friendships that I definitely questioned as I got to know them. There were just little things that they would do that I felt like kind of hurt me, but I ignored it because I was trying to accept them. They started socializing, hanging out together without me, which was fine. I was never the type of person that wanted to keep friendships like individual or just like a one-on-one thing, and that my friends can't be friends with each other. I didn't care, whatever. And then over time it got romantic and they were involved, and they slowly started pushing me out of the picture. They weren't reaching out as much or inviting me to things as they used to, and I kind of just rolled with it. And so I just gave them their space. I let them do their thing, you know. We would talk like once in a while, but not like before. Then after a while I started noticing that I was feeling a little better when they weren't around anymore. It was confusing because I used to talk to them every single day. Every single day I would talk to them. And at first it hurt because it was different for me, but it was confusing because even though that part sucked for me, that I kind of lost two of my friends, at the same time I noticed that I was feeling better overall. So I think they did it for like 2 or 3 months, and then they tried to reach out to me after a while, and they could sense that I was starting to be like in a different headspace, that I wasn't really in the same space that I was when, you know, they first got together. And I got blocked. They both blocked me. I didn't message them, why'd you block me, or anything like that. I just rolled with it. And I was like, cool, you're doing me a favor. You don't know it yet, but thank you. I think they felt that I thought I was too good for them now, that I've kind of moved on. The one thing that I never did was chase. I never chased anyone. If someone made it clear to me that they weren't interested or that they didn't want me in their life, I've always just moved on. I don't fight it. I'm not gonna beg them to change their mind. If your mind is made and that's what you express to me, then have a nice life. You know, I wish you well. And of course it does hurt sometimes, but I just can't bring myself to beg somebody to keep me around if they've expressed to me that that's not what they want. So moving on. And after those two friendships ended, the other people that I also had in my life, those relationships kind of just naturally dissipated. Nothing crazy happened. It wasn't like a big blow up, but they just naturally faded away. So after the other friendships dissipated, I spent about a year completely alone. I would wake up, I would go to work, I went to school, I'd go to the gym, I'd come home. For about a year, I didn't socialize, I didn't go out. I had no choice but to just sit with myself and go within and really try to figure things out and work through my depression, my feelings of disappointment in myself, of not being where I wanted to be at that point in my life, any insecurities I had, and just come to terms with me not loving myself or caring about myself enough to know my worth, and how my friendships were a reflection of that at the time. And in that year that I spent alone, that's when I really discovered the law of attraction and meditation and the power of having a positive mindset and how your thoughts really do create your reality and your experience. And that's not to say that negative things won't happen or that life is just a breeze if you just think positive, because that's not realistic at all. Things happen in life that we don't expect. But when you change your mindset and you're more optimistic, the universe kind of just brings more of that to you if that's the vibration that you're on. And spending time with myself and my own energy, it really made me realize that I wasn't just dealing with what I was going through or everything that I had been through, but I was also picking up on everyone else's junk as well. Everything they were going through, their feelings that they felt, their ups and downs, I was taking that on as an empath. in addition to what I was facing. Not knowing I was an empath at the time, I always asked myself, like, where are these feelings coming from? What is the source? What is the source of my sadness? So really being able to just sit with my own energy. As months passed, I started to feel lighter. There was this inner peace that I never really felt before, that was starting to glow, and that was starting to grow and glow. Glow. It was almost like a physical sensation as well, where I could just feel like my body and just my heart just opening up and expanding. And another thing I noticed was that feeling of being alone and lonely, I didn't feel it anymore. It was literally the first time in my life that I didn't have anyone to talk to every day. I didn't have friends to go out with to talk about how their day went or to tell them how my day went. I didn't have that. But it was in that time, that year, that I didn't have those things, that feeling of being alone and loneliness went away. And towards the end of that year that I spent alone and just reflecting on myself and my friendships, I realized that feeling of loneliness I had, it was because I wasn't in touch with the inner parts of myself, and I didn't know what I needed to flourish in this world, in this experience. And that I was essentially neglecting myself and not giving myself the same love that I was giving to everyone around me. In a weird way, it was as if I was finally meeting myself for the first time. Like I was getting to know me. I didn't know me. And just realizing that the most important relationship you'll ever have is the relationship you have with yourself, which will determine the relationships that you have with those around you. You have to be the type of person that you're trying to attract. Those qualities that you're looking for in a friend or a partner, you have to ask yourself, do you possess those qualities? Are you already what you're trying to attract in others? And this is not to say that you're not going to encounter certain people that don't match your frequency, that don't match your energy, because you will. It's a part of life. We're gonna meet people who can uplift us or who can drag us down with them. After you go through a healing process and really discovering, the depths within you, it'll be easier to see these people coming. And when they do come, you'll be able to see right through it and just easily move on and realize that they're not for you. Hopefully. And of course, about 6 months into my solitary awakening process, each of them reached out to me again and basically told me that what I had said was gonna happen, happened, and that they could no longer stand each other, and this is the worst experience they've been through, and apologizing to me for not listening to me at the time, and pretty much asking our friendship to be rekindled again. And at that point, I was just like, I'm sorry that happened, but I'm just in a different place now. I wish you well. Wasn't gonna happen. Nope. Sorry. After that year I spent alone, I started meeting people whose energy and frequency matched mine. And they turned out to be really positive friendships and something that I hadn't experienced before I went through this process. So the universe will bring them to you. And once you start having those positive friendships, it's almost as if you can't look back. Your future friendships or your future relationships will have to match that same energy, because once you've experienced that with someone, once you've experienced that connection and just that love and genuine friendship, you just won't be able to tolerate anything less than that, because not only do you know your own worth, but you've actually had a chance to experience what that could be like, and there's no comparison. There's no comparison at all. Once you feel that, once you have that, once you meet people, once you meet other people who just you share that deep spiritual bond with, you won't be able to carry a friendship that has anything less than that. So what about you? What are your friendships like? What's important to you in a friendship? Do you feel like you're getting those things in the friends that you currently have? Do you feel fulfilled in your friendships, in your relationships? Do you feel like you're giving more than you're receiving? What could be different? Do you feel like they reciprocate? Drop a comment down below, and don't forget to like, subscribe, and share this video, and give it a thumbs up.